So as a dog, I was realizing and analyzing ever since I got the collar on full time. It's always on me, and I realized that I've developed an inner voice. I don't know if it's. I thought it was my conscience. I remember when the Jehovah's Witnesses would come over and talk to the men. They would sit inside. There's a voice. It's their conscience. You inform it with the Bible and with the Word of God, and you try to understand what Jesus was saying, and you get an inner voice. But I didn't really go that way. For me, it was just, it's like the more I talked, the more over time, it took a while, but over time I developed a voice in my head. And the crazy thing is the voice in the head, he wasn't trying to tell me to go kill myself, but he was saying, it's all vanity, you're going to die. That's the main thing, you're going to die. And I thought, that's what I developed a voice for this. So you could tell me about my mortality. Dogs, if you ever hear a dog, dogs don't have a voice in their head, okay? They don't have an inner voice. So if you see a dog dreaming, he's barking. That's the inner voice trying to come out. The dog, everybody thinks it's the dog taking a dream. The dog's following the rabbits. He's chasing the squirrel. No, he's fighting internally inside himself to keep an inner voice that's trying to come out. He's trying to keep it concealed because it doesn't do you any good to have an inner voice. My inner voice wasn't saying you got to go kill yourself. My inner voice was saying it's all vanity and it's dust in the wind. It's a striving after the wind. Striving after the wind. I was striving after a squirrel. I was striving after a rabbit. But, striving after the wind. My inner voice now says, it's all vanities. You're going to die. It doesn't really matter what you do. You're going to die. My inner voice says, it doesn't even matter what you're going to do. It doesn't even matter, the fact that you exist. No matter how great you are, you could build a pyramid and no one would know your name in a short time, a few generations. And, 1,000 years, no one will even have an inkling of who you were. No one will know anything you did, no accomplishments, let's thank God for the royal family, because it's the only ones that you might think, you could remember Henry VIII, you could remember the Tudors, the Tudor dynasty, you could remember, But, the thing is that, no matter what you accomplish, I didn't understand this until my inner voice started telling me. My inner voice started to say, even if you accomplish something great, like maybe you design a park and you plant trees, and it doesn't even matter what. For 150 years, they won't realize their full beauty. And so even long after you're dead, but then the park will be there. Even that, and that's something you really accomplished that you could be so proud of, and it gave you so much joy, and you felt so good, like the man who built Central Park, or the man who built Brooklyn Bridge, the people that built the pyramids, or the people who built the Empire State Building. But, the reality is, even no one is going to know you did it. And once you die, not even you will know you did it. So whatever you do, it doesn't even, it's just striving after the wind. And my inner voice, it's the bad thing about developing an inner voice. If you lived your whole life, and I had a long dog years life with no inner voice, once you get an inner voice, you're like, oh, gosh almighty, what good is this going to do me now? Almost gets you like blue. It doesn't get you depressed, but it gets you like blue. And maybe you have to try to start drinking. I think I might start trying to drink some light beer. Mother Rabbit was a big drinker, and the man, he was a big drinker. The man and the rabbit, but whatever. I might. It's just the thing is, when your inner voice is telling you, even if you achieve something and you enjoyed it, and, there's no one who's going to give you the credit, even during your life. Really, somebody's going to try to take the credit, or the next person who improves it and makes it better, they'll take all the credit. And you are forgotten, even in your own life, and you don't even care. But then your inner voice points out and says, "Gosh, you're the one who did that. Now look, you've been forgotten." And but that's okay. My inner voice is, besides telling me, my inner voice, I never knew that it was all striving after the wind, and no matter what you do, it doesn't even count for anything. Perhaps maybe not even in your time, and you will live long enough to see yourself forgotten. Be standing there like, hey. How can I be forgotten? I'm right here, Hey, help me out here. I'm forgotten. It's not canceled, it's forgotten, but I'm here. You have to remind you. Look, I'm here, I'm reminding you. And it's still like, whatever you did, I don't even know. Somebody said you did something one time, but now nobody cares. They've ascribed the value to that thing, that accomplishment, to somebody else. Some other man is standing in the shoes that you once wore. You're like, wow, okay, whatever. So that's why you have to have an inner voice. You develop an inner voice. This is good for you. So you could, so you could understand these things. But the main thing is, I wasn't going to worry about, trying to tackle the inner voice. I was just going to try to live with the inner voice. I was just going to try to adapt to the inner voice. And finally I said, the inner voice, I'm not going to, it's not going to be good unless you do some cheery things. And the inner voice said, hey, listen, it's good, you're here. The inner voice said, always be happy. Always look on the bright side. Always follow the, always look at what, in no matter what the situation is, look at the very best step you could take. It may not be the greatest step in the world, but you just take that step. And I said, that's what you got for me? That sounds bleak too. My inner voice was saying, don't worry about depression. Don't worry about suicidal thoughts. Don't worry about, the vanity of life. And don't worry about the meaninglessness of it all. Don't worry about that, because all you have to do is just, stand up. You say, hey, you know what? I'm glad I'm here. The air smells good. The sun, if it's cloudy, it's not so easy, but maybe there's a flower. Maybe even if it's just a dandelion, you can see a dandelion out your window. That'll be good. You'll be happy, You could, but you could take that one step. No matter how bad you are, you could take that one step. And maybe that one step is just cracking the window open and maybe go do a load of laundry. Even as a dog, I could say that, I'm not going to do that because I don't, my apparatus is good for recording my chapters of my novelette, but it's not so good for doing laundry. You can't fold with cones, But anyways, it's all right. I just wanted to share the whole inner voice thing. It's a new thing. It just occurred to me. I have an inner voice. I didn't know I had an inner voice. Who knew?